Hello and welcome to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast. My name is Mahou Shoujo M, and this is my co-host.
That Kodocha Girl, also known as Ari.
I am also Daily Kodocha. I feel like I have not been mentioning that lately. I've just been like, I'm M, and I
Yes,
have nothing to do with Daily Kodocha, and I need to remind people that I do Daily Kodocha.
let's take a moment and just shamelessly promote ourselves. So I'm gonna take this moment real quick. I'm gonna steal
Do
your
it.
spotlight real quick,
Do it, girl.
guys. Everyone, I am on Patreon now. So if you would like to support me in the channel, that would be awesome. So we'll leave a link in the description below for that, as well as on my socials. I'm on YouTube, of course. I have my channel, new videos monthly for the most part. And I'm also on Twitter. I run a Tumblr blog where I have lengthy updates sometimes. And I am brand new to TikTok as well. So I'm just diving into making short content videos. So it's been fun. So, Em, do you want to promote your socials as well?
Sure. Daily Kodocha is available on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. We do daily scans, screenshots, memes, and video clips, and the occasional, edit. And those are available for your viewing pleasure whenever you like. I have nothing else really to promote. Oh, I guess my fan fiction. I also do some Kodocha fan fiction on AO3, working on a broad project called By Your Side, which is a Kodocha expanded universe. So if you'd like to check that out, feel free. And that is probably all I have to promote in terms of Kodocha things anyway.
Yeah, her fan fiction is fantastic. So definitely go check that out. It definitely feels canon. So
oh no. I need to add it. I need to clean up. I haven't updated in quite some time. I've been busy, but hopefully I can get something out soon. But yeah, so that's a little on us. Today is kind of our de facto Christmas episode. We're going to be discussing episode 38 / chapters 18 and 19, which is a special Christmas kiss, or Thump Thump, a kiss for Christmas.
might be my favorite episode. What about you?
Definitely, it might be mine. It's probably my number one. Like, I just want to, if I need like a comfort episode or just want to watch something Kodocha-y, like I'll come back to this one a lot.
Same.
It's so good. It's but it is funny because I hadn't read, I guess I hadn't considered the anime episode in relation to the manga chapters in a while. I hadn't realized that the anime episode kind of combined some of the episode, or some of the two chapters functionally to make this episode.
Mm-hmm. And
So I thought that was interesting.
there's the setup to the filler arcs that come after that in the anime in this episode as well.
There is. It was, which I had never caught that until this most recent watch through.
Really?
Yeah, I had never, like, Misako picks up the phone and I said, okay, and never thought about it again. And then, of course, and so the homelessness arc, which I hate, as we all know, because I won't shut up about it, seems very out of the blue if you kind of don't acknowledge that that's probably what's happening when she's on the phone.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I had no knowledge of the manga at that point, and so I was just watching it, and I was like, "Ah, just another weird little zany plot point in Kodocha," because you know how it is. It's zany. So
It do
when I
be
read
like that sometimes.
so when I read the manga, and then they just I think they just kind of skipped to middle school a little bit after that, I think. I can't remember exactly.
No, they go through the rest of the school year. They have like the final school project, like class gift thing where Akito's face gets stuck in the like putty or thing that they're making. They're making like a sculpture
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
she's like, "Do you like me?" And he's like, "No, why would I like you?"
Oh yes,
Because she really
more
puts him on the
romantic tension.
spot. Yes, my sweet girl. I was like, my sweet girl and my sweet dumb boy. And they just, you can't be that blunt Sana and Akito. You do need to own up to things with words from your face, which
Yeah,
he
go ahead.
absolutely will not do. So
Never.
never.
But
Bless.
the first time I read the manga, I don't know why, but that caught me off guard that they took out I mean, they didn't take it out, but the homeless arc wasn't there. I don't know why, but
Mm,
like just the anime gave it a vibe like it was canon to me.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I
Even the
hadn't.
Takashi arc, I thought that was canon too, but
Huh.
in retrospect, it really doesn't make any sense at all.
No, I mean, in terms of like, and I feel like our last couple of episodes have been talked pretty exclusively about anime only arcs and anime only episodes and things, so I don't want to like go too in depth on it. But I do feel like the season one filler arcs, generally speaking, tend to feel a bit more grounded within the world than the ones from season two.
Right.
I still don't love them, and I do think that season one's best episodes are definitely where they're following the manga. But I do think that like Takeshi Gojo and like the homelessness arc at least have more in real like feel more plausible than like the Sana's doppelganger arc or like the karate arc at the end of season two. You know what I mean? Or the New
Yeah.
York arc even, which feels so random. God bless it.
The
You know?
the karate arc, it feels like it could be a part of Kodocha, but it's like you can tell that like anyone who's read the manga knows that it's basically just a watered down version of I'm not going to spoil it because I know we'll eventually talk about it. But
Hmm.
to me, that's what it felt like. It just felt like it felt like a watered down version of the whole thing when Akito goes to find Kazuyuki in the woods and gets stabbed, and it felt like that, but they just had to tone it down, and
Hmm.
I didn't really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's fair. I
I'm just gonna make a comment real quick before we like actually start talking about the episode and chapters today. But there's moments in Kadocha, especially later on, where I feel like the intelligence of the audience isn't taken into account, and I feel like they're not really how do I explain it? They're almost insulting the audience's intelligence later on, I feel like,
mm,
because they're
hmm.
dumbing things down, making it more they're playing more into that comedy, which is fine. I like the comedy in it, but at the same time, they're making it a bit more shallow, and toning down any kind of dramatic emotional moment for a
Mm.
gag. And that's really the only problem I have with the anime, other than obviously it not being finished.
Mm.
And of course, the arc that we always bash every single episode, the
We can't
Takashi
help
arc.
it. We can't help it. Um, yeah, no, I definitely hear you there. I think that I think that the anime doesn't do as good a job balancing the emotional and the comedy. And particularly in season two, it feels like all attempts to kind of balance those kind of go out the window. So I hear what you're saying, and I think I would agree with that assessment as well. And I think it's a shame, but because like when they do it well, they do it really well, you know?
Hmm. Well, do you want to jump into the episode?
Of course. So, the events of this episode and chapter are functionally that we have a little bit of a time skip here too. It kind of starts just before Akito's birthday, which is on October 12th. And Sana asks what he's doing for his birthday, and he says that he's going to the cemetery. So she decides that they should have a middle birthday party where they pick the dates directly between their two birthdays and have a birthday party on that date. For them, that date falls on Christmas Eve. I love it
Yes.
so much. And so now that December is here, Akito is in the uncomfortable position of trying to figure out what he's going to get Sana for their middle birthday. And he struggle buses. And so that's kind of where we start the
Yes.
episode.
I love this sequence here too. It
Oh my
cracks me up every
gosh.
time, especially when he's in the store and they're looking around and that lady comes out, the attendant, and
Yes.
she's
Oh my
she's
gosh.
like, "Are you shopping for your girlfriend?" And then like he's like staring at everything in the store like it's about to like just like come off the shelves and attack him.
Oh
And
my gosh. Yes.
honestly, like that whole sequence reminds me, that's kind of a personal story, but so I love to thrift shop, okay?
Hmm.
And my husband hates thrifting. And
Ah,
we went to this one place together, and like he like this moment in the show reminds me of his reaction when I took him to this place, because he's like looking around and he like it was so funny because he's usually not this dramatic, but he's looking around and he looks so overwhelmed and he looks at me and says, "I need to get out of here."
oh no.
And every time I watch this scene, I always think of that moment, and I'm like, oh my God, like I actually like witnessed somebody like reacting like this in real life, like just like overwhelmed by everything surrounding them. And it's like, I need to get out of here fast.
I love it. There's also something to be said too, where like in the manga, like that is just a woman wearing a turtleneck. And the anime said, hold my beer. Like, let's just really go hard with this character. They made her so like the like almost like slithering like movement and stuff. Oh my gosh. I got such a kick
Love
out
it.
of how they ramped up the comedy there. Although I did find it really funny though in listening to the English version, I'm like this I feel like the voice actor that they chose for the English version and like the physicality of the animated character did not match. Like she's so much calmer in English than she was in Japanese, which I thought was really interesting.
Hmm.
Don't know if you agree or disagree or care, but that's a thought that I had as I was watching and something that I thought was worth writing down. So,
I actually didn't notice it, but that's interesting.
oh, okay. Maybe next time you watch it, you'll watch it in English because you tend
Well,
to watch
now
it in
that
English.
now that you brought it up, I'll definitely notice it.
Fair. I love the sequence too because I love one, my sweet boy. He is so in his head. And this is definitely a strong example of that, where he is so focused on trying to get a good gift and he cares so much and he just like can't make a decision. I love it so much.
What about a new bra?
Oh. And then I love that like the problem with that he first saw was not because that's an inappropriate gift, but because I don't know her size.
Right.
Like that
It
is
just
really
goes to
classic
show
Akito
you,
logic. Yeah.
yes, and it just goes to show you how it's like, I bet all boys are like that too. Like they just don't see what's so awkward about that.
You know, I'm like, I would love to survey our boys, and just say like, what do you guys think of this Akito reaction? And if y'all are in the live chat on this fine evening and you would like to tell us if you think Akito's reaction is weird or not, please. I
Is
am
it a
all ears.
normal?
Is that a normal thought process? Because oh bless him. I just yeah. And I love that scene too, because Tsuyoshi sees like the what I have written down as the Now Sauna advertisement, and he is pressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
The number one Sanaki shipper, Tsuyoshi Sasaki, is just cannot handle the cheek kiss, and I think it's extremely funny and cute.
You know, I
It's so
love
good.
how I love how Tsuyoshi goes from like this love-struck Sauna fan at the beginning of the series to like being like the most dedicated shipper of those two. Like I just
It's
absolutely
true.
love that development for him.
He is, yeah, doing the Lord's work, truly. They make him suffer so much. And I've always sort of like headcanoned that like even after they do like finally get together and everything, Tsuyoshi spends all of high school like hyper stressed about their relationship. Anytime they have an argument, Tsuyoshi is beside himself, going outside to look at the moon, like as he has been known to do. Oh, I
I could
just love it.
totally see that. Yeah.
I love that episode. I think I can't remember which episode it is, maybe 64, 65, where Tsuyoshi is like thinking about like Sana and Akito's like relationship. And he just goes out to his balcony and he goes and looks up at the moon and he's so worried about it. And it's so cute. And I love him so much.
Me too.
It's
I
fine.
wish
It's fine.
everyone had it. I wish everyone had a friend like Tsuyoshi. Like
Real.
the world would be a better place if everyone had a Tsuyoshi in their life.
You're so right. It really, yeah, true. I aspire to be a Tsuyoshi in the lives of others. Oh my god, I love this episode. So, okay, I'm looking at all of my notes because I've got manga notes, anime notes, English version notes, and Japanese version notes. And it's like
Same.
hard to talk about them chronologically sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that, but I'm really struggling on this episode for some
Me
reason.
too. Well, it's also tough too because like the circumstances surrounding both the chapters and the episode are like a little different because of where they kind of fall within the course of the series. And there's
Mhm.
also like in the anime some foreshadowing to like Sana's book and all of that.
Yeah.
Which I have a note about that, but that's from before in the episode. I skipped to the shopping sequence because it's so good, but that's on me.
So real quick, because I was just wondering if we were going to, because I really stopped covering the manga after they kissed because that's where it ends in the episode. But did
That's
you
what I
want to
did
just?
too.
Okay, I was wondering because I have the book here I'm referencing, and I didn't know if you wanted to continue and talk a little bit about the rest of that chapter until they go to middle school. But I was assuming we were stopping the kiss, so I'm glad I made the right
You
assumption there.
it was a good assumption. The only thing I had to add there was that I love that conversation that Sana and Misako have post kiss in the manga, and I kind of wish that they'd kept some semblance of that in the episode, you know, because I think that there's something kind of relatable in like 11-year-old girl has her first kiss and you know, or not really her first kiss, but like, you know, and wants to kind of unpack some of that with her mom that she's super close to. So I wish that they'd kept it, but other than that, you know, they
Yeah.
the end of the episode is cute. They do a good job with it.
Hmm. We definitely needed more like touching mother-daughter moments in the anime, I
Mm,
feel. Because there's a lot. There's so many in the manga, and like their relationship is just so wholesome. And I wish we got more of
hmm.
that in the anime instead of her just being like, have it, oh, she's got a new weird hat today, you know?
They really go hard with the wild and crazy of Misako, which is understandable, but at the same time, like Misako is so like wise, you know,
Hmm.
and you know, for all of how she can be really kind of crazy and enjoys subverting expectations, like she has like I think genuinely like really good advice and thoughts, particularly as the series goes on. So but she's funny. They made her funny.
Yay.
But I did have a note from the conversation about Sana's book at the beginning of the episode. It is actually I wouldn't call it a translation fixation of the week, but it is a just fun little wordplay fun fact that I thought I'd point out from the Japanese version.
What's that?
So in when Sana says that she's going to be writing a book and everybody's like, really? The word for really is honto, which is spelled with the kanji hon, which is used to mean book, truth, and origin. So there's a little bit of wordplay where she's like, I'm going to be writing a book. And they're like, bookly is kind of what it's like, I guess, in
I
English.
see.
And then also the Hon kanji is the second kanji in Nihon, which is Japan. So there's just like lots of wordplay going on in that scene, and I have no idea how they would have translated that into English. But that's the joke that they're trying to make. And it is cute. It's a cute moment, but I have no idea how they would have successfully gotten that joke across. But there you go.
Cool.
A little fun fact for you.
Um, well, the next thing that I have, so this honestly might be, nothing beats the Christmas kiss, of course, but
Of
this is
course.
definitely my second favorite moment in the series, between the two, and it's when Sana gets Akito a dinosaur doll for Christmas.
It's so good. And actually, a fun fact, again with the Japanese version of the manga, actually, is that when she's like, "You like dinosaurs, right?" and he's like, "I don't hate them." The Kirai Janai is written in katakana, which is the same way that it is for when he says that he doesn't hate sushi and he doesn't hate Sana, but not the way he says he doesn't hate Fuka. Woo!
Interesting.
Yes. So dinosaurs, sushi, Sana, all katakana, Kirai Janai.
Oh,
Wholesome.
another layer has been revealed.
Oh yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
love
have
it
to
so
put that in
much.
one of my videos. I'm gonna credit you for that though.
Oh, don't happy to help with any of the Japanese is so interesting because the way things are written kind of conveys its own context and meaning. And so I thought it was really interesting that it's written the same way. So I think it indicates a parallel to the other things that he doesn't hate in quotation marks. What
So
about that scene? Oh, sorry.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you follow-up questions about the dinosaur, like why you liked it and
Yes.
stuff.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. It really shows how much that she cares for him and how much she pays attention to him because, you wouldn't notice something like that if you didn't really care deeply about somebody. And I feel like that's one of those moments that shows Sana's love for him without her having to say it yet, or the fact that she's not even realized it at that point. And I love it. It's adorable.
Yes, I completely agree. It's a really sweet moment that she picks up on the things that are important to him. And like Akito fell first in the most technical of senses, but Sana just I think doesn't realize that she has. And I like at this stage, you know. And
Hmm.
like even in the introduction to the episode in the anime, when Akito's Polaroid is, for some reason I'm really relaxed around him. And I think that that's like even in these early days, she's starting to realize that his presence is really important in her life. Um, and shows the depth of caring there. Makes me really happy.
Me too. I actually, I've been researching stuff for my next video, and I read something interesting that made me think of how things are presented in Kodocha. And I was reading about like the dynamics between heterosexual couples and, the feelings of love, when does it happen? How does it happen? And there was some study done that statistically it's more likely that the male is going to fall in love first and fall in love hard like immediately. And it made me think of this series because it kind of presents itself here too, because we see that with Akito. He's pretty head over heels right away.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't show it like, he's not giving her flowers or doing anything like that, but he's showing it in his own Akito way,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And then with Sana, it's more of a slow burn. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes her a while to really figure that out. And it also, she's still very young. She's never really had feelings like that were genuine. The thing with Ray wasn't really real. It was just, something that she perceived as how you love someone in that way. But with this, it's really interesting to see, this to read about this study and this research and then kind of see it here as well.
Yes. No, I completely agree. It's really interesting. And Sana is such an interesting character too, because she's such a subversion on the like girls mature faster than boys. Um, I don't know if that's a trope or if there's research behind that, but it's said regularly, because I do
Mm-hmm.
think that Sana, especially in terms like in relation to matters of the heart, does sort of I don't know if I would say she matures slower necessarily, or if she just is so hesitant to throw to like cross that threshold. She does hold back from it kind of intentionally until she kind of can't anymore, which is just interesting to note. So
Also,
I
I
just
think it has a lot to do with, I think she's afraid to let herself feel that way because of what
Mm,
happened with Ray, and also I think it
sure.
might even stem all the way back to her abandonment as a child.
Hmm.
I think she's probably, I mean, I'm working on this video right now, and I'm deep diving into volume 3 of the manga, and
Mm,
I did notice that when Sana and Akito are they're below that cliff that they fell down, and they're on that field trip for school over the summer. And she seems very reluctant, to
hmm.
express how she feels. And I think there's a lot of fear there as well for her, because she's had childhood trauma. So I think that might be why her development could be perceived as slower.
Mm,
I wouldn't say that I would argue that she's a little bit more mature than Akito. Just my opinion though.
mm,
I feel like that could be, interpreted by different people. You could argue that Akito's more mature. I feel like they're both mature for their age because of the trauma that they
mm.
both been through. But I think Sana just has a difficult time when it comes to interactions with others. I think that's kind of where she's developed a little less than other girls her age.
Yeah. So I have two kind of thoughts in relation to what you just said. First, in terms of like Sana maturing a little bit slower, that's something that Obana actually says in an author's note. I would need to go look and find which one, but she says it kind of offhand, like, "Oh, aren't girls supposed to mature or faster than boys?" Ha ha ha, kind of thing. So that's sort of where that idea got placed into my head.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then second thought is I agree that relations with others, and as you were talking, I was kind of thinking like for all that Sana is, kind of intense energy and, seems really comfortable, she is a little bit risk averse. She's always hesitant when things are changing, you know
Hmm.
um and so I find that really interesting, and I think it sort of relates to kind of what you said. There's a risk in sharing what's in your heart with other people, and there's a risk to your relationships changing. There was a risk when she decided, she wanted to do Mansion of Water. She initially told Ray no, that she didn't want to do it because she didn't want to change how things were going at school.
Hmm.
Like but then when she finally like does it, she never regrets it, but she always is kind of like there's definitely some hesitation, I think, there.
Yeah, I
So
completely agree. Um, and again, I think that's because of her past, and
mm,
I think fear holds her back a little bit, which is, pretty normal. It's something I can relate to. When, I was her age and a little bit older, like there were things that like I was really comfortable with some of the things in my life, and why would I want to do something that would upset the balance of that? You know what I mean?
absolutely, yeah.
So it's something that's really relatable for sure.
No,
Did
I
you have
completely
anything
agree.
else to add to that?
Not on that particular note. Next thing I kind of wanted to bring up was sweet Naozumi Camera in both the manga and the anime. Um,
Yes.
in the manga, I thought it was interesting that chapter 18 also contains the Camera Academy visit, which in the
Hmm.
anime happened 17 episodes ago.
Right.
Half the series ago, literally. um, which is just funny, but he's so flirty with her, and she is not picking up what he is putting down at all in the anime. But in the manga, in the English version of the manga, the Tokyo Pop translation, now Zumi straight up tells Sana that he has feelings for her, and she does not respond to it. And I said, I'm looking into that. This feels weird. And in the Japanese version, he does not finish his sentence, basically. He's like, but Sana-chan, and then she kind of cuts him off, which makes more
Mm.
sense than him having an actual love confession that she does not acknowledge at all, in
Yeah,
my mind. It
absolutely.
was a weird translation choice. But then it's Tokyo Pop, and they were just doing stuff.
I
And
guess
I'm
they
never gonna
just
stop
wanted
complaining
to
about it.
I guess they just wanted to kind of drum up the drama.
Or something. It was just so like, I don't know. It is I don't know. I could not tell you what they, I mean, it's clear that he was probably about to, say something because it was kind of in that conversation where, she's like, we're like brother and sister. And he's like, or we could not be like brother and sister.
Yeah.
Please stop saying that. Um, so
Poor
I just thought that
Nozumi.
was interesting. I know, sweet baby. That's another thing. I feel like we have like three things we do every episode. We talk about Fruits Basket. There it is. There's your mention. Second, we dunk on the Takeshi Gojo arc, and then three, we say that Naozumi is a sweet, sad angel baby, which
Yes,
is true.
because he deserves everything and like
The whole world.
and I hate to say it, but again, characters can't always have happy endings, but Obana never really gave him a happy ending, like ever. And it's just
I
like,
know.
it's like,
She just
where do
made
I
him a
go from here?
bisexual, which is a tortured existence. I can relate.
Yeah, I
That
get
was
it.
it.
I feel it.
It's fine. We're fine.
We're all good.
So that's all I wanted to say on that one. Do you have any Naozumi thoughts for?
Um, I do, but this would be skipping ahead again.
Oh,
Actually,
oh
no, I don't
no.
think so. This happens after the dinosaur thing, I think.
Is it the phone call?
Yes, it's the
Oh,
song.
it's the song. It's so sweet.
I wanted to say that like both the English and Japanese voice actors for this song, like they can actually sing. Like
Oh,
I
I
like, oh
literally
my
have
gosh.
my note literally says Christopher Patton has a really nice voice.
That's so funny, me too.
Ah, why are we same? I love it. Yeah, they did a really nice job. And honestly, and too with the translation of the song from Japanese to English, they did a great job. Like that was basically it.
Mhm.
Um I thought and it still sounded, I don't know, it was very Christmassy. I liked it. It was nice. And it's just a sweet scene too that they added. Did they add it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, did you have any other
Uh
thoughts on that one? Just
um actually I do, but I'm gonna save it for when we get to the kissing scene because it
oh,
relates to that a little bit. So it's one of those things I
okay.
noticed when I was rewatching it this time since I was, I guess, analyzing it a little more. I was like, that's I don't know if this was an intentional choice, but it's kind of a very subtle little detail that elaborates on a plot thing, but I'll get to it when we get to the kiss. But I
Okay.
did want to bring up we finally get to see another episode of Limbo.
Oh my gosh, from Sumire Polynesian Ando? They changed her middle name in the English version, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, to just Limbo, I
Just
think.
Limbo, which
Yeah.
Limbo is my middle name is funny, but also what?
Why? They also
Real.
changed the part when the drums start to kick off in the restaurant.
Yes.
Um in the Japanese dub, it's the taiko drums, and then in the
Hmm.
English he just says tribal rhythm. What is this tribal rhythm?
Yeah. I wonder if that was another one of those where they're like, people aren't going to know what a taiko drum is. Which possible. It feels like that. I think it was you had brought it up in the Promised Summer episode, actually, where they said like tofu instead of sashimi or something like that. It's interesting when the English dub is or makes decisions like people aren't going to know what that is. We got to come up with something different.
Yeah, it's kind of silly at this point, I feel like.
I feel like it didn't.
But
It's some of those decisions just didn't age super well. Like if I put on my little 2006 hat, I'm like, okay, like I can like I get it, but I don't like it. You know,
yeah,
in 2023, I don't think they'd have done the same thing. But
no.
what are
I
you
think
gonna
those
do?
days are over for the most part.
Praise be.
The days of that and 4 Kids Entertainment ruining everything that they touch.
Yep. What a time. What an adventure. Um, we've lived through so much. But yeah, I love that scene. I love Zenjiro's like, Sumire, who's Sumire? Sumire is such a cute name. I bet she's adorable. And then it's Ando Sensei, an icon.
Honestly, one of my favorite recurring jokes in the
Oh my
series is like
gosh.
her weird crush on him, and then the limboing is just like it's so maniacal. I love it.
It really is very crazy, and I do appreciate it. It's a good bit. Like, let's keep coming back to it because it's still funny. So,
So speaking of some other changes, this was another one that I noticed. I think this happens right before they go to the Christmas party at Sana's house. So in the English version, there's a scene with, well, there's a scene in both, obviously, but there's this scene where Fuyuki is asking the kids, like, oh, let's have a Christmas party, and they're all like, oh, we've already got plans, and he's like really upset about it.
mm,
So at the end of that scene, in the English version, Fuyuki is singing Jingle Bells. And in the Japanese version, he's not singing, he's just talking about Christmas in Japan. And I thought that was
mm.
an interesting change.
I think so too. That is definitely an interesting one. Sweet Fuyuki. His sad door slide in that scene as he like becomes
Right.
increasingly depressed. He
Bless his
brightens up.
heart.
That's funny. I know. There were some interesting like translation changes in this episode too, because in the Japanese version, they had a few very funny jokes that they just like kind of bypassed completely in the English version. The first one being in the classroom at the beginning of the episode, I think Tsuyoshi literally looks at Sana and it's like, it must be hard playing the lead role. And then one of my favorite scenes from the Christmas party is when Sana goes, "You're having fun without the main character? I'm coming too." And they
Oh
eliminated both of
yeah.
those jokes. And which made me sad because Kodocha, especially because the English version, I think, does a good job kind of maintaining the kind of zany, out of the box kind of feeling of the show. So I'm like, I wonder why that was the line for them. They're like, we can't break the fourth wall. That's the one thing we are not going to do.
Hey, it
I don't
doesn't make
know.
any sense.
I know it's just odd that they I thought both of those jokes were funny, but oh well.
Me too. Yeah.
The moment when the girls find out that Naozumi is not coming to the party and they like descend upon the cart of food, and Tsuyoshi is really sad that Aya cares so much about Naozumi not coming, and he's like kind of waxing poetic about it in the foreground, and then she just like turns with like a drumstick in her mouth, and they didn't have a sound for it in the English version, but in the Japanese version it's like a like kind of growl, like this feral sound, and she's got food in her mouth. And he's so sad. And it's just like the combination of all of those things made me laugh out loud. I love it so much. Just
Yeah, I
really
was just
tickled
about to
me.
say, that moment made me laugh out loud too.
Oh my god, it's so good. Just the sound just really tickled me. So, okay. Is it time to talk about
It's time. I know exactly what you're talking about. You can go
Oath?
first.
Oh my gosh. The smooch. It's everything to me. Um, just everything from I'm not sure what it is, but it's yours. Like, oh, it's so good. And
I know.
I just love it. And for in across versions. I love it so much. I love the manga art for the scene, like the eyes. I love their jackets. I'm a sucker for the clothes, the lighting. It's all just really beautiful, perfect, gorgeous. Ugh. If I was reading this in 1995, I would have lost my mind.
Same. Oh my gosh. Like, could
Oh
you
my
imagine
gosh.
like waiting for the next chapter to come out and then like seeing that? I wouldn't
Oh,
be able to live
real.
with myself afterwards because then you wouldn't know what's going to happen after. And it's like, oh my gosh,
It's
like,
true. We
where is
also,
it going to go from here?
so I mean, well, that's something too, is so episodes come or chapters rather come out once a month. So assuming that Obana took no breaks, it's been probably 10 months since Sana Nakito's last kiss in real time as their people are reading these. And because the kiss is kind of because the contents of this episode are split between two chapters, and chapter 18 ends on kind of a cliffhanger where it's like, is he going to confess? and then chapter 19 is where the kiss actually takes place. Like, I can't imagine how stressful that would have been.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Having to wait 30 days between that confession and that kiss. So just hats off to the OG fans in Japan. Y'all suffered so much in the
For
waiting.
sure.
Like, can you imagine? Oh, that's wild.
It's good
I love
stuff.
it. What are your thoughts?
So obviously, this is probably my favorite like kiss that they've ever had in the anime and
Yeah.
manga because
Yeah.
it's just like it's almost like I didn't expect it when I started watching this episode.
Oh.
Because like I said, my first introduction to Kodocha was the anime, and I watched it, and I was like, you have all this filler before, and
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of, in a way, it's almost like the first kiss. It catches you off guard, and that's why it's great. But it's even better because Sana is just kind of standing there, and she's not disgusted by it. And this is kind of when we really see how much her feelings have grown for him. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I love it so much. So I did want to point out something I noticed. And again, I don't know if this was intentional, but I've seen these episodes and I've read this manga so many times that, it's so detailed, and the level of detail that's in it is very surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so something I noticed, so we get that scene with Naozumi and he's singing the song, the Christmas song with the Khmer Academy children and staff over the phone. And the melody of the song plays over the kiss as well.
Hmm.
However, it's very soft, it's very subtle. It almost
Yeah.
sounds like a music box. And I couldn't help but think that this was almost like a little subtle detail that was describing the differences in how Akito loves Sana and how Naozumi loves Sana. So Naozumi, he's
Hmm.
more grand gestures
Yeah,
and
he's a
he's very
showman. Yeah.
exactly. So I when they played that song, he's singing it. He has a whole choir. You know, there's an organ. Um, but then we hear the same song again when they kiss, but this time it's very subtle. It's very light. Um, it kind of fades and slowly. And I felt like that was almost a way of conveying how Akito loves Sana. So he's very subtle. He's actually very gentle sometimes. And the love is it's a very slow burn. It kind of just fades in, and then you don't
Hmm.
really realize it's there until it's like it's like in your face. You can hear it all of a sudden.
Hmm.
So that was a really cool detail I noticed this time. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. But I really thought that was a cool little thing I wanted to share on the podcast today.
Of course. No, I think that's a really great detail. And thank you for mentioning it. Because like I have watched that scene 1,005 times. Like, and I can play the version of that music that you mentioned, like in my head right now. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I hadn't put together the contrast there between Naozubi and Akito, but it is a really interesting thing to bring up. And I think you're exactly right. Um, the only thing I would add or say is that, I think when I think about when you said like talked about Akito's love for Sana kind of being like a slow burn, I feel slightly differently. Like I feel like it came on for him very quickly. In a sense, like really once they were friends, like it really wasn't that long before he was like rewinding the tape of her face.
Oh,
Um,
well, I
but
agree with that. I
oh,
mean,
so
I'm saying more the
no,
relationship
let
is
me
more of a slow burn.
let me
Sorry.
finish. Let me finish. No, but when I liked what you said about like it being a slow burn because to me it reminded me of like striking a match, you know.
Mhm.
And so like where it just once it happened, it was there and it was like and it burns and it starts really kind of light and it just grows. And that's what your thought made me kind of think of that. So no, I wasn't trying to be like, you're wrong and this is why. I was like kind of trying to add to what you were saying
I
about
love that
the
analogy
candle
though. That
metaphor. Yeah, like it's just
yeah,
like,
it's
and here
perfect.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that would have been contradicting what I said earlier about like he fell fast and hard,
Hmm.
but at the same time he was very subtle about it. And again
Yes.
I feel like that moment there again it's like that's a great analogy for it. It's like striking a match. It's like it's quick, it's sudden, but it's also very slow and it's it's got
Yeah.
very well timed pacing.
Yeah, and it's gonna burn kind of consistently. It's
Mhm.
not like a lighter which you can kind of flick on and off. It's once it's burning, it's burning. And I think for him, he continues to burn. Um,
Exactly.
oh God, we're good. I oh
We should teach a class on like the the intricacies of Kadocha and
oh my
like
God.
we could turn it into like a whole 2 semesters. I really believe that.
Oh, I believe it too. My husband jokes all the time. He's like, as a world authority on Kodomo no Mocha by Miho Abana. And I'm like, listen, I have other hobbies, I promise.
Yeah,
Um,
I same here. Same here.
this, yeah, I love this. Something that you'd said too about not expecting the kiss, I find, um, I just, I had a different experience. And in fact, I don't have a ton of super core strong memories of watching the series for the first time because I was so young, right? I was 13 years old watching these episodes on YouTube in Japanese. But the episode before, you watch through the end and they have like the preview for the next episode. And when I saw what the next episode's title was, Thump Thump, A Kiss for Christmas, I will never forget how giddy just knowing that it was coming made me as a 13-year-old girl. I was literally, because it was around Christmas. I remember I was on winter break from school. I would have been in like the 8th grade, I think. And I literally remember like skipping around my house, like kind of humming it under my breath, like thump, thump, a kiss for Christmas. Like I just need to like finish the stuff that my mom asked me to do so that I can go sit in front of my computer and like turn on YouTube and watch this episode divided into, 8 parts that were 3 minutes each because 2006. And like, and I still, whenever I watch this episode, kind of recapture that very intense giddiness that the anticipation of that episode left me with as a young
I love
girl,
that.
as the target demographic for the episode.
And now here we are. We're both
I know.
yeah.
Oh man. So it's always going to be very important to me. Um, but again, I don't have a ton of core memories from that time, but damn if I don't remember that day that I watched it for the first time.
I love that. That's an amazing story. It's adorable.
I was so excited. I was so excited. And you know what? Perfect episode. Perfect
100%.
chapters. Yeah. Oh, so good. I feel like there's no way we could have talked about everything we wanted to talk about, but we
Yeah,
have
I
been talking
know.
for almost an hour, so there's a good chance we did.
Yeah, I'm looking over my notes and I don't have anything else.
I think I do either. I think the only other thing I had is that like I wish that they had changed that the animators had done clothes that were different in this episode.
Yeah, I
Like
had that written down too, actually.
it's an important episode. Do designs.
Yeah,
Sigh.
that was when they started like because I watched that little interview with Agitaro Daichi
Hmm.
and he mentioned something about how like towards the end of season one, like the animators were getting tired of drawing different clothes for Sana and her friends, and so they were just
I
like,
get
okay,
it. Like I get it. I
like we're just
just
gonna have her in her pink Sana shirt for like the rest of the series until middle school.
basically, and that's I think the thing that like kind of gets me is I'm like I get doing that for like most filler episodes. And like when you look at the Kodocha anime, the ratio is probably more filler to plot. So like I get doing that for filler episodes, sure. Like you just got to get something out there. But for like important episodes, I think that especially too, because like it's not like they skimped in terms of time spent on this episode. Like it's clear that a lot of love went into it. I mean, the kiss scene itself is gorgeously animated. So cinematic, beautifully done. But then they're wearing, they're not even wearing jackets. It's snowing outside. Like cartoon problems. I just wish that they had done this. But it is what it is. I still love it, and I'll still watch it again. Always. So
Me too.
do you have anything else to add on the episode?
No, I've said everything I wanted to about the episode and the chapters. What about you?
Yeah, I have too. The only things I have some like housekeeping for just podcasts generally, a couple of announcements, but other than that, I think I'm good on episode.
Go ahead.
Okay. First thing is that if you are interested in being a guest on 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast in 2024, we have our interest form linked in the description. So please fill out that form and let us know if you're interested in joining us on the podcast. That's first note. Second note is in January, we are planning something a little bit different for the podcast. So we're thinking that we're going to do a live show. No edits. You're going to get to hear every thought that we have before I cut the ones that don't apply to the episode.
Could be dangerous.
I know. It's I'm more worried about me than you. I never have to cut anything you say. I have to cut my rambling down very significantly, which is why I'm the psycho that insists I have to be the one to edit, because I have to edit me.
My problem is I feel like I stutter sometimes, or I mess up on words a lot.
I don't think so. You're very well spoken.
Like, I appreciate it, because I really do worry about that, honestly, because I don't socialize as much as I would like to as an introvert.
Mm-hmm. You're very well spoken, and it's one of those things where like when I'm editing now, I don't even have to listen to it. I can like see in the sound waves our ums, like I know what they look like.
That's funny.
You know, yours is more of like it kind of has a steady kind of rise and crest fall, whereas mine is very sharp, goes up and down. You know, so it's just funny. I can pick them out. So we both do that, and I do cut those, but I think generally speaking, I never have to cut anything that you say. Whereas I often over explain, talk too much. So I have to cut some of that, trim some of that, so that people don't get annoyed with me. But I'll probably be trimming some of this that I'm literally saying right now. But yeah, so for January, we're planning on doing a live episode. Details kind of TBD at the moment, but we're thinking what we would like to do is read questions and answer them. We want to read like thoughts that you have, things that you would like to share about the series, really just sort of make it a celebration of the Kodocha fandom and how far we've come in the last few years. Yeah, so if you have anything you would like to add, let us know, ? But yeah, we're looking forward to that. So details TBD, but get ready for a live show in January. Should be fun.
Woohoo!
Okay. Anything else to add before we sign off?
I've got nothing.
Me neither. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us. Have the best day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast.
19 O'Clock News is hosted by That Kodocha Girl and Mahou Shoujo M.
We love making new friends. Feel free to join us in the Kodocha Discord under Kodocha_media.
19 O'Clock News is not affiliated with any current or previous rights holders to Kodomo no Omocha by Miho Obana.